Hey, Rob here for Quadratec. If you want to find out how this little can help extend the amount of time between your service intervals and potentially increase the lifespan of your engine, you'll have to stay tuned. I want to start today by talking about the air intake and exhaust that came on your Wrangler or Gladiator from the factory. They have to meet a number of different factors ranging from the amount of power output by your engine to the fuel efficiency and even how much noise they create. And let's face it, they're designed to be pretty quiet, which means they're restrictive. Now, we can free up some additional horsepower and torque from the engine by installing a freer flowing air intake and exhaust like I have here from Corsa Performance. Before we get our new intake installed, we need to first remove this factory intake, and we can start by disconnecting the connector here on our air intake temperature sensor and then popping the two clips that secure the harness here to the tube. We also have one clip securing one of our coolant lines to that factory tube, and then we can disconnect the breather hose. We have two 10mm bolts securing the tube here to the radiator support and one over on the passenger side fender. Finally, we can loosen up that band clamp and then pull the entire factory intake out as one complete assembly. Most likely you'll have the two mounting grommets stuck to the pegs on the bottom of the factory airbox. Go ahead and pull those off, and we're going to reseat them down here on the airbox support. At this point, we can grab our new airbox. I've already got the new cone filter installed in that airbox. As you can see, these pegs are going to drop right there into those two grommets we just installed. And with that seated, we can also grab this L bracket that's going to slip from the inside of the airbox underneath of this mounting tab here to give it a little extra support. Go ahead and push that into place and re-secure it with one of the factory bolts that we removed earlier. Next, we can install the new intake air tube. Start by slipping each of the silicone couplers and band clamps over each end of the tube. It can be helpful to spray them with some window cleaning solution to make them slide over just a bit easier. We'll start here at the throttle body, tighten in that band clamp, and then work our way through the four clamps, ending up here at the airbox. We can reconnect that vent hose, and then we'll need to remove the intake air temperature sensor from the factory intake tube. Twist it counterclockwise about a quarter turn and then pull straight out to remove that sensor. Then we'll slip it into the grommet here on the new tube. You want to make sure that we orient this in the same manner as it was in the factory tube, keeping this tab horizontal and pointed towards the front grille of the vehicle. That's going to keep that sensor aligned so that it gets a proper reading. Go ahead and reconnect the wiring harness. All that's left to do now is to install that smoked plexi lid here on the airbox. Now, I wanted to quickly show you the difference between this factory intake tube and the new Corsa Performance tube. You can see on the factory tube we've got all this different chambering and baffling here, and that's really designed to disrupt the airflow and keep that intake nice and quiet. Here on the Corsa Performance tube, this nice, smooth, free-flowing design is going to help to increase the cool, dense air that's being delivered to your engine to help unlock some added performance. I also really like this see-through window here on top of the airbox, allowing you to quickly inspect the status of your filter. This intake is available with your choice of 3 different filters. You can choose from the dry or oiled cone style filter. Those simply require some periodic maintenance, either by washing them or with the oiled filter re-oiling them every so often to keep them operating at their optimum performance. They also have their Power Core filter available that offers you a completely maintenance-free filter for up to 4 years or 150,000 miles. Now, with the intake wrapped up here, why don't we go ahead and get this Gladiator up on the lift so we can move on to the exhaust. That factory exhaust is one complete welded assembly, so to remove it, we just have one band clamp we need to loosen up near the transfer case. With that taken care of, I also have the rearmost exhaust hanger that I'm going to remove. That will allow us to slide that exhaust back, giving us clearance to drop it down and slide it out from under the Gladiator. Now, before I install the new Corsa Performance catback exhaust on the Jeep, I wanted to go over some of the options you have while I have it here on the table. You do have your choice of 2 different output levels. You have the touring exhaust, or the slightly more aggressive sounding sport exhaust that I have on the table here today. Both of them utilize the same 3-inch diameter mandrel bent stainless steel tubing and this great straight through high flow muffler. Now, that's going to help to contribute to a 37% increase in flow over that restrictive stock catback exhaust that came on your Jeep when it left the factory. The difference between the Touring and the Sport is in this pipe right here. On the Sport, you'll see we have a straight through pipe. On the Touring edition, you will have the addition of a resonator here to help quiet that exhaust down just a bit. You will have the choice of 3 different exhaust tips. You can choose the 4-inch diameter black powder coated tip with the Corsa logo there, like I have on the table. There's also a polished stainless steel version of that, again with the Corsa logo. Or you can choose the simple turn down exit. It's going to tuck up nice and high under the bed of the Gladiator for the most off-road clearance. Now, getting this kit installed is easy. It's designed to be a direct bolt-in utilizing all of the factory hangers and includes all of the clamps to get it installed. We'll simply start up at the front of the vehicle and work our way backward, installing each piece of the pipe along with the included band clamps. With everything loosely installed, we can go down and snug everything up to complete our install. Now, if you want to hear how that new intake and exhaust sounds, you're going to have to wait just a moment longer because there's one more thing I want to install today: the Corsa Performance aluminum oil catch can. Crafted from 6061 aluminum and featuring a multi-stage oil separation system, this little can help extend the interval between your services of your engine, as well as potentially increase the overall lifespan of your engine and help it maintain its peak level of performance. Now, this can simply replaces your existing PCV line found on top of your engine. Now, PCV stands for positive crankcase ventilation. And what that system does is help your engine meet different EPA regulations by capturing different types of blow-by in the engine in the way of unspent fuel, oil, and moisture. And normally that runs through that line and gets dumped back into the intake to get burned off in the engine. By doing so, excess blow-by could lead to excess carbon buildup on your valves and reduce your overall engine performance. Instead, by rerouting that line through this oil catch can and the filtration system inside, we're going to separate out those contaminants so that you can just periodically drain them off and get rid of them, helping to deliver clean air back through your intake to prevent that excess buildup of carbon and other deposits. Now, getting this installed is really easy. We'll simply remove the 2 quick connect fittings on our existing PCV line, one here on the intake manifold, one down on the crankcase side of the engine. Then we can grab the longer hose, install one of the quick connect fittings, and connect it to the crankcase side, routing it along the firewall and behind our coolant reservoir. Grab the shorter hose, attach the other quick connect fitting, and connect it right there to the intake manifold. And we can install the oil catch can with the included bracket right here on the fender. And finally, we'll connect the opposite ends of those 2 hoses right to the oil catch can. Now, if you want to get more information or to purchase a Corsa Performance air intake, performance exhaust, or oil catch can, you can click that info button to head over to Quadratec.com. Of course, if you have any comments or questions about any of the 3 that I installed today, you can always leave those for me down in the comment section below or by simply heading to Quadratec.com. If you haven't already, do me a huge favor, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well as the notification icon, so be sure to catch all of our latest videos. Until next time, I'm Rob. I'll see you out on the trail. For right now, why don't we get this Jeep outside so we can hear how this new exhaust sounds.